Hi, welcome back to the shop. And in this visit, I'm going to show you how to make a blind dado joint. It's probably the best joint to use when making a bookcase. I used it in a previous project. Stick around and I'll show you the process I used to make this. And I've got a couple of new tools that I'd like to try out as well. So before we get started, I'm going to show you this. This is what a regular dado joint would look like if you were building a bookcase and you brought that dado all the way to the front, all the way to the face of the project. You can see that you would see the end of the shelf, but then you would also see the notch out. I mean, and if you make it tight enough, it doesn't look too bad, but it's not a super clean look. And so the blind dado kind of eliminates that notched reveal, and it gives you this kind of a reveal. It just gives you the shelf butted up to the end of the side of the bookcase, and it's a nice kind of clean joint, but it has all of the benefits as far as strength wise of a dado joint, because you still have this notch out, this dado joint in the wood. You just don't have that reveal, and this is kind of what the side of the end of the shelf would look like in this joint. So what we want to do first is a little bit of layout. So I've got this adjustable square here, and I would like to have this dado that I'm going to plow out with my router. I'd like for it to end about 3/4 of an inch from the end of the piece of wood. So I'm going to set this at about 3/4 of an inch. Then I'm just going to draw a little line. So that's when we're plowing out our dado, we want our bit to stop right at this line. So that's our center. This is the center of our dado. It's 3/4 of an inch. The dado is going to be 3/4 of an inch, so half of 3/4 is 3/8. And I'll show you something really cool. I've got these setup blocks. They're kind of neat. They're really nice for really fine-tuned measurements here. So I'm going to use this setup block, a 3/8 inch setup block. I'm going to set the end of it on my center line there, and then mark on the other side 3/8 of an inch, and on the other side 3/8 of an inch. Now this is a few extra steps, but I kind of just wanted to draw it out so you can kind of see where this dado is all going to take place. And this is essentially outside to outside of the dado. This is where the dado is going to end. Okay, so I'm getting ready to set up my fence to plow out the dado, and what we want to do is, with this router that we're using, we want to measure from the end of the bit to the outside of this guard. And so best way to do that is just get your ruler out, and we got about 1 5/8 inches from edge of the bit to edge of the guard there. So we know that this outside line right here is this point of our bit, and so we would want to go 1 5/8 inches off of that line. Okay. So I'm just using for a straight edge just a nice straight piece of wood here. Got a piece of plywood here. Okay, so now with the router we need to set the depth of the bit. So I'm going to grab my setup block, my 3/8 setup block, and I'm going to adjust the bit until it's flush with the top of my setup block. Lock it in. Okay, so now I'm going to begin plowing out our dado, and I'm going to stop at our line right here. So let's get this done. Okay, let's check our fit. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to cut the notch out for our shelf. So just let me make sure this is cinched down. Also, I did a video where I inlaid T-track in the top of this workbench, and it's just been this awesome thing to have, just to be able to do any of these type of board type projects, to be able to set it down anywhere on this bench top and be able to clamp it. So I'll put a link in the description to that video, also to the bookcase build video I've done. So what we want to do is we want to notch 3/4 of an inch back on our bookshelf, and also the depth of our dado is 3/8 of an inch, which is half the material, half the depth of the material we're using. So we want to make our depth cut 3/8 of an inch. So grabbing our setup blocks, this is our 3/4 inch setup block. Set that on the edge. Grab our pencil. There's our depth, or our recess, and then our depth for our dado is 3/8 of an inch. So we take that 3/8 of an inch setup block, mark, and there's our notch. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is square off the end of this dado. So let's try this out and see how it looks. Tell you what, that looks pretty good. Yeah. Well, that turned out pretty good. It's definitely a useful joint if you can get it down. Hopefully some of these tips I showed you will make it simple for you. it was something I did have to practice a lot on scrap wood before I used it on any final project. But I mean, it's a nice clean joint. It's strong. I mean, this is just dry fit, and I mean, that's pretty strong. So yeah, go ahead and give that a try. Build yourself a bookshelf. That's usually the first project a woodworker does anyway. So I enjoy sharing what I've learned. I'm not a professional woodworker. Obviously, I'm sure a professional can see what I'm screwing up on, but I do enjoy it. It's a fun hobby, and I really love teaching and showing, and you know, showing others how to do this kind of stuff, because I feel it's a very useful thing to have, just to be able to simple building skills, to where you save yourself money, take pride in something you've built, display it in your house, you know, and it's just been a great thing for me. I've been teaching my son. I did a video with my son where he and I built a catch-all cabinet, and he just loved it, and I enjoyed every minute of it, building that with him. And yeah, just thanks for coming by, and I'll see you next time.